Welcome to our live Q&A with Hang Massive. My name is Sylvain Paslier. I'm community manager at MasterTheHandpan and Handpan Dojo, and I am delighted to host this event. So before we dive into it, let me give you some housekeeping. So today in this live stream, we cannot see you, unlike during our happy hour, but the main way that we're going to interact is by using the chat. So if you want to locate that speech bubble icon and interact that way, it's going to be a live Q&A, so you can send us your questions for our special guests. And in fact, let's test out your chat skills by starting with a little icebreaker question, which is going to show up on the screen for you. If you were to go busking today, if you were to go street performing today, where would you go? I'll let you think about that and type it in the chat. And let me remind you what is happening today. This is an amazing event that we are hosting with the GOATs, the greatest of all time, the GOATs of the handpan world, Hang Massive, Danny Crude, and Marcus Offbeat. I'm going to introduce them in a moment. But this is a great opportunity to bring them to you. As you know, we are launching a masterclass in collaboration with Hang Massive. Tons of content, quality time in the studio with these guys that we have known for 10 plus years in the handpan world. So after we go over the icebreaker question, I'm going to need your help to send in your questions for Danny and Marcus. And what to expect today after my short intro. We'll dive right into the live Q&A, and then we'll wrap up with some announcements. But first, let's circle back to this question, and let me say a warm word of welcome to my guests. Hey guys, Marcus, Danny, good to have you.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
We're so glad to have you. And I'm turning to you. We're going to look at the chat as well, but you guys have a long history of street performing and busking. I know that you're in a different phase of your music career, but if you were to go busking today, is there a place that stands out? Maybe your favorite place you've ever been? Anything come to mind?
I think I would go back to Stockholm, the old town of Stockholm. Um, I mean, it's funny because yesterday we had the 1 hour happy hour
Hmm.
where we spoke a lot about street performing as well. So I was thinking about it a lot after the live stream yesterday. But I mean, I think just for purely for the reminiscing factor of Stockholm is beautiful, Sweden is very beautiful. The old town of Stockholm is very magical, and we spent 3 or 4, maybe more summers there. So if I was to go back busking, it would either be to Stockholm Old Town or back to Bath Spa in England, just purely for the reminiscing factors, the good old simple days.
Yeah,
That's
trip.
exactly what came up for me as well. I was just going to say Stockholm, and then after that, I was going to say Bath.
Wow. Hey,
We spent
maybe.
so many hours in those places, so
Yeah.
many hours just yeah, setting the foundation really for what we're doing today. So yeah, it would be an honor and privilege to go back there and do that.
Fantastic. And we're going to get into all of this today. So, as we collect your questions in the chat, and I'm going to sporadically come in and write those down, I would love to turn to you guys, Danny and Marcus, just for us to get to know you a little bit. If you could both tell us where you're from and how you discovered the handpan, how you discovered the hung, kind of where you were at in life, what kind of stage of life you were at when you found it.
Shall I start, Marcus?
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Um, So I discovered the hang, I think the first time was in 2005. And at that time, I had a business in India making juggling equipment, like poise and fire juggling equipment. So I was in the summer, I would travel to like lots of festivals, selling my juggling equipment. And I went to a juggling convention. I can't remember where the first one was, but that's somewhere maybe in Slovakia. I met somebody there playing hang, and it was just sitting in the middle of a field, like a big festival area, lots of people gathered around. And I was like, wow, that's super cool. But then I didn't think about it so much after that. But then I went back again the next year to the same juggling convention. It was in a different country. And again, saw the same person again with the hang. He was there playing. And then I really paid attention, got involved, got the contact details from him, I remember. And at that time, 2006, it was like the end of the summer, 2006. And I just called Sabina. I literally answered the phone, booked the instruments. We just went there directly, came back with like two or three instruments between the three of us that went there. Um, but then I remember we were the last people that went there that year, and then they closed for the winter. And by the next year, springtime, they had like a 3-year waiting list. So it went very quickly from nobody, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know how that, I mean, I guess online things started already, but um, yeah, it went in a very short time from just being able to make a call and go there to like actually now there's like a massive waiting list. So yeah. And where was I in life? I was already having a very alternative lifestyle. I had a juggling business. I was going to festivals, selling juggling equipment in the summer, spending the winter in India. So then having the hang, being able to play in the street, basically that became my sole focus then, just playing music in the street in the summer and then saving money coming to India in the winter.
Nice. And I remember that shift between maybe 2007 and 2008, and I think YouTube had a lot to do with it. Now the Hung went viral and it was utterly inaccessible. But before, it was pretty unknown and there probably wasn't that much demand for it.
Yeah, yeah, literally like, I mean, they were making, I think, a few thousand instruments a year somehow, which is crazy. But they were making lots of instruments. I mean, lots compared to seemingly how many people make a year now. They
Right.
were like they were, but still, yeah, it was very unknown.
Yeah. And Marcus, what's your
Yeah.
origin story with the Hung?
I mean, I don't remember the exact year, but it must be like 2005, 2006. My lifestyle was, I had a small little backpack and was hitchhiking around Europe just randomly and ended up in Barcelona, walking down one of the main business street, like busy tourist streets there. And this guy sitting on the floor, just hammering away on something. And I was just stood there, couldn't really believe what was going on. And in the middle of it, he spotted me and he looked at me and he's like, "Hey, come, sit and play. I need to go to the toilet." So I literally, and he
Whoa.
took out his money and he like shoved up and I sat down and I just like this, just, but I had no idea what it was really. And the pot started to fill up with money. He comes back running, gave me the money and said, "Thank you so much." And I was like, "What is this?" And left. And I don't think I thought about it at all, really. But then later on, I started to meet like Daniel Vaples, Victoria Krebes, and like through these connections, it just started to mingle all together until me and Danny started to busk in bath together, basically. So it was
Uh-huh.
a few years of the instrument just hovering around me, like in different parts of the world. One time in California, I was sitting at a friend's place, and one friend comes running in with a handpan going, "Hey, Marcus, there's a hang for sale, there's a hang for sale." You know, and I sat there and basically it was worth all the money I had in my pocket at that time. So I said no, and it left.
Oh,
And after that, I was just beating myself up for so
yeah.
long that I didn't buy this special thing. And, you know, so I understand many people in that era, that time, that had this urge to just have this thing. You know,
Yeah.
I was one of those that just was around all the pans, was around people playing them, but never really getting it. And yeah,
Hmm.
here we are.
Wow, what an
Yeah.
incredible story. It's wild. And did you ever find out who that original player in Barcelona was?
No,
No.
no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you could meet him like today and just say like where look
That would
where
be amazing. I would
yeah.
love to know who it was. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. So there's a question from Mark asking which countries you guys are from. And then the next question from Karina is uh, how did you guys meet? You kind of touched on that, but how did you start playing together? Because it requires chemistry, right?
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I was born in,
I'm from
yeah.
England. Oh, I'm from England,
No,
and we met in India, and we met in Goa, where we've both been living for many years now. And even when we met, we'd both been coming to India for many, many years. And at that time, we spent the season in Goa. Then we went to the mountains. Like when it gets very hot here, there's a big movement of people go up to the mountains. And then we started playing just with, I had the one hang, Marcus had his djembe, and we started just with that, with the one hang and the djembe. And then when we went back to England, I had the one second gen and the one integral, and that's when we started playing together.
Gotcha.
I was born in Sweden, and yeah, that's the story right there that Danny you shared.
And Marcus, you have a first gen pygmy. Did you get that instrument during the first gen years or after the fact?
Yeah, I guess like now it's like it's all up out in the air anyway. But I basically I found that from a friend of mine that was staying in Bristol, and it was completely out of tune. It was like a complete like it had nothing to it really. But you know, at this time Danny had gone for a retreat, and he had left me one of his handpans. So I was sitting out in the street playing it, and in the end, I decided to get this first gen and got it. I came home and yeah, wrote the pan out and got it tuned and got it back.
Wow,
Yeah.
very cool.
Marcus he even has the gold rim from the
Yeah,
integral on his first generation, which is I think quite unique.
Yeah, I have that
yeah.
too
Oh
because
yeah.
that's also my story. I got a first gen a little bit later on. I got mine in 2007 and it was relatively in tune, but I visited Felix and Sabina. They retuned it and put the copper ring. Great. So there's been a couple of questions about street performing, and I thought a fun way to approach this topic is, do you have any success stories or horror stories that come to mind in all your years in the streets? Like really cool things that happen and really scary or like terrible things that happened.
I don't think we had any terrible things that happened
Wow.
in all the years, like nothing, no arrests, no damaged instruments in the street anyway. I don't think so. Um, yeah,
No, we were very careful
no,
with
just,
all
I
of
mean,
that.
just generally it was all good. No, in, no altercations, no like violent or angry, like it was always very, like generally very fun and positive and good vibes.
Yeah. And that is something actually, like when you ask the question, something magical happened. I know like some of my most precious musical experiences have been when me and Danny at this one specific time sitting in the old town of Stockholm in front of this pharmacy. And normally we were just busking during the day. And this time we were staying a little bit later, and we were sitting in this one place. And I remember people gathered in front of us and sitting on the floor and just sitting and really taking in the session.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this moment sticks with me a lot. It had a very obvious electrifying atmosphere that for sure we experienced to some degree many times, that magic of playing for people. But this, I don't know if you remember this time, Danny, but that for me had something to it, that 1 hour of so countless thousands of hours doing that. This 1 hour just stood out to me in a beautiful way.
It's beautiful.
But other than that, we have no complications. Like, I think we spread so much joy around us, so much. It was so powerful what we were doing, especially at the time when there was such a new thing. So I think that and the magical quality of the instrument just pushed all the nasty away. Like, people with that kind of mindset was not able to enter our space. So
Yeah. Do you miss it? Do you miss those
sometimes,
days? Yeah.
Like these things, when I share these moments, it's like we had many beautiful sessions out there, beautiful meetings, like easy lifestyle. Like there was no tomorrow. It was just like a moment to moment, just hanging out, blissing out every day, eating good food. It's just making shitloads of cash, just being, and in that time in my life, it was just something that was just amazing, that you could be out all day, just doing this thing and just making money and living in an abundant way and not needing to think about it. So that was super precious.
It's definitely not like that anymore. Let's put it that way.
And of course, like, you guys had good chemistry, you were friends. It's a lot easier, like we were talking about last night, to street perform as a duet rather than solo, which can feel a little bit awkward. It's hard to interact, to kind of manage everything when you're on your own. And I could see that being a big part of why it was sustainable for you guys. You did it so much because it worked well musically, and then interpersonally. So yeah, it's really cool. Now,
Yeah, and it also meant that when we actually started doing shows, it was a very conscious decision. Like, okay, now at this point, like, we stop. Actually, we are with a meditation teacher for many years, and she has supported us in all of the ways with the project. And she's also a very extremely competent like business person, as well as being our spiritual mentor. And she actually said to us, like, now is the time that you stop the street. Like, now you have to, like,
yeah,
shift the focus, So it was a very clear point when we said, okay, like, we do 1 month more, and then, like, that's it, But because we'd already started with the YouTube and all of that, but we were still playing in the street. We were not doing any gigs. We were starting to get offers to go and do festivals and do gigs, but generally we were just having so much fun and also making good money in the street that it didn't make sense to go and do a festival, when the kind of fees that people were offering us at that point, because no one really knew us, it was very low. So
right.
So it meant that we over probably 4 or 5 years from the release of the Once Again video, we built a very big fan base online, but didn't do any gigs. So when 2016 we actually started touring, we'd already built up like a very big interest group. So I think we skipped then like a big section of the live touring thing that, you know, if you don't already have a
Sure.
fan base, we went straight into like playing venues for 300 to 500 people, you know. We
Yeah.
skipped the 0 to 20, 20 to 50 and all of that stuff. Yeah.
So let's talk about this, because these are distinct chapters. You've got your busking days in the streets, then this overlap with YouTube and just the new way that the world engaged with media, right? Smartphones, social media. And then you entered a stage of a mature band with a team and, advisors like that friend who encouraged you to kind of step up, to level up, in terms of production and just like the kinds of efforts that you put and where you put them. But of course, in between those is that whole YouTube thing. So, um, just walk me through, and I don't know if you remember, it's so long ago, but what was the first video that really went viral, and how did it feel? Was it calculated? Did you expect this amount of attention, or was it a surprise?
I think it was very calculated, and it was not really a surprise. Like because before I met Marcus, I was playing together with Daniel, as we
Hmm.
spoke about yesterday,
Right.
with the hang playing hedge monkeys, and I learned a lot of things through that process. So when it came to Hang Massive, it was like the world had already shifted a lot in those few years in between. Um, but when we had the video ready, I really was like, because I could see that there was at that point there were videos of the hang online, but I don't think there was anything of high quality. It was like, you know, the video of Swaroop in the streets, that one was already there. Maybe Manu DeLego had this famous one, him playing solo. I don't even know. Maybe that came after. You know, there were lots from the street, but I could see that there was not anything of like really high quality. So we recorded the live album, and then we for the video once again, then we mimed the video to the pre-recorded audio, which is why it already had such a good audio, which at that time there was nothing else online that demonstrated, I think, the sound of the instrument as that video did. So then we had the video ready, but then we took a couple of months to really think about like what's the name. We went through all this process of like, you know, what's the name going to be? Um, but actually that was mainly it. What's the name going to be? I remember doing some going through some videos online, like how to optimize your YouTube video, you know, like how long the title should be, what to put in the description and all of that. And at that time, literally, like I had my Danny Cud Music Facebook page, which had, I don't know, like not very many people from before, and my personal Facebook page, and Marcus had his personal Facebook page, and we had a YouTube channel with like literally like like no subscribers. Um, and but I saw the vision that it was possible, like that this could actually just be like, this could really be a thing, you know, without really knowing how that was going to unfold.
Yeah.
It was like, in one hand, surprising for sure, like when it went the degree that it did, but on another hand, like not totally unexpected. No.
Yeah, this was years in the making. And
To some degree, and we'd already been playing for more than a year and a half or something, so like the playing was good, the performance was good.
mhm.
yeah, and we did it on a complete budget. Like we paid like €200 to this guy we met in the street who was doing filming, and we got 2 videos out of him in one day for that. And we were trying to mime with this tiny little speaker, like trying to mime to this like little thing, and but it just worked. And I think the main thing about it was like once again, obviously, like it's a great composition, it's a great performance, it's a long track, it's got like a great, it is just a great piece of music. Like, even now we still perform it, and it's a great thing. Um, but I feel like the way that it was filmed, the way that it was recorded, the audio, it was just a great introduction to the instrument.
Yeah.
It just really was like, this is a new instrument that no one's seen. Listen to what it can do. And I think it was the combination of that, the great track, good performance, but also the fact that just the way that it was made really, yeah, that's where the virality came from. I think just it was the perfect example for people to say, have you seen this instrument? And they were just sharing the video, like, check this out, check this out, check this out. And then it just went quite crazy from there.
Yeah, that's a really good point because your sound has really evolved uh, beyond this video, this acoustic video. But that video stands the test of time in terms of this is what the handpan sounds like. And in fact, um, this is what has shaped the way people experience the handpan. Does that register when you realize millions of people have discovered this instrument through that video? What
Yeah, I
goes
mean,
through your mind?
I remember randomly, my father's friend went to, this is also some years back, but he went on a holiday to Germany or something. And he was walking down the street, and this guy is sitting on the street playing the handpan, and he goes up and he's like, "Oh, my friend's son plays this. Do you know this band Hand Massive?" And the dude looked up and he's like, "Oh, they are like the grandfather of handpan." And for sure it made me feel super old, but just the response in these ways, like when I hear these kind of things, and also like recently we have been in a few like handpan gatherings, and all of these things, and the gratitude that comes from people. Also reading in the forum here when we posted the Q&As and in the community group, just hearing people's beautiful shares of how they've been inspired by how we go about things and what we did and what we do. And for me, yeah, so it's beautiful to hear these things.
Yeah.
It's touching with every share and every sign that you have empowered someone, that you have shared something of benefit to someone. It touches the heart and the soul deeply. So thanks, everyone.
So you go from dubbing this once again video from a little speaker on a budget all the way to like legit on location music videos. Like I think everyone's seen The Secret Kissing of the Sun and Moon, which was the track that we played at the top of the call. This one, let me share it on the screen really quick, and I'll mute it so we don't get like copyright strikes if this ends up on YouTube. But tell us a little bit about the location, the process, like what went into filming this.
Amazing.
I mean, we have gone.
No, go.
I mean, again, we have our meditation teacher, and that has a long history and a lineage and a tradition that goes with that. And the album Luminous Emptiness was very much made together with our teacher. She gave the title for the album. She gave the title for all of the tracks. She gave the title The Secret Kissing of the Sun and Moon. Like these are all metaphors and teachings that come from our tradition that we study. Um, so it just made sense to visit. This is Ladakh. It's an area in the very far north of India. It's on the border with Tibet. And there's lots of crossover of culture between Tibet and India and Buddhism, and it's all happening in this like absolutely incredible place in the far north of India. So it made sense to just go there to make the video. And actually the inspiration was when you like halfway through the video, it jumps to this setting in the temple, and there's lots of monks dancing with this masks and things. So we knew this mask festival was happening in this specific monastery. So we went there for that basically. And we had 2 or 3 days before that and some days after that. And we just hired a team from Delhi and we just went there and just winged it basically. We didn't really have a plan other than to go to the mask festival, and that was it really. And I mean, it's truly one of the most epic places I mean, it's truly an epic place. Like the whole of this it's very high altitude. It's like you need to take a few days when you arrive just to it's like 3,500 meters, just the city. And then you go over these passes, it's the second highest road in the world, one of them. It's like, I mean, it's like a truly magnificent place. And so we just went with the track, miming it around in different locations. And this epic team that we'd hired from Delhi, they put it together into this, I mean, it's a magnificent thing, I think.
Yeah, incredible scenery and footage. Marcus, does anything come to mind as you watch these images? Memories of filming, just
Oh yeah, like again, as Danny shared, it's extreme up there. It looks beautiful, but the intense heat and then the intense cold, the dry, the high altitude. It's hectic every day, and we literally, because we just had the instinctive feeling of how to go about it. So every day was just like driving on spotted a place and go like, we're going there, and then we're trekking like over rivers and climbing mountains, and you see the desert. It's just crazy the things we got up to, and I think for sure the landscape and the music and everything carry its part. But I also feel that the devotion and dedication that me and Danny have to this project shines even brighter, because there's very few people and artists that go to such an extreme length to do something like this. And if you could see every day, like in some of the pictures, my skin is just completely dried up. It actually there. And it's like you're like dehydrated, and it's just like, I haven't slept properly for some time, but we just keep on pushing through. And so when I watch these footages, I'm just filled with gratitude that I'm so devoted. I'm so devoted to the project, and I'm devoted to the things we set to do. And we both are, and this is what I feel. This video specifically sings to me for those reasons.
yeah, it reminds me of the hearing you talk about the extreme conditions and just the extent of this project. It reminds me of Manu Delago's Parasol Peak, where he also went up the mountain, and he's also a teacher on Master the Handpan, and like incredible playing, but also artistic vision, right? It's not just a song; it becomes a whole ecosystem, and it's very inspiring to see you guys put so much thoughts and heart and love into these projects and attention to detail. I think it lifts all of us up, and it helps us to aspire to higher standards of production and of aesthetic vision. So thank you guys for kind of reminiscing this video. I love getting those reactions from you. Let's pivot away from the world of video and online interaction, and let's talk about your shows, because in 2016 you start performing gigs with mics and lights and set lists. So let's talk about this, because we know you guys have as having this big sound. Was it like that from the get-go, or was there a refining process to really identify what is the Hang Massive sound that has become so iconic? What was version
I
one?
mean, because basically, I think we spoke about this yesterday, you know, when we first started doing the live shows, we would basically just come to the venue and basically perform our busking set on a stage. It was probably less than an hour, like an hour show. We didn't know anything about microphones. Sound engineers knew absolutely nothing about how to amplify this instrument, like at all. So I think it became very obvious to us very soon that this was a difficult thing. This was a very difficult thing to, you know, because also, you know, we were for whatever reasons from the beginning, we were playing in standing venues. We were not really booking seated venues. And, you know, standing venues are noisy. People speak, people are drinking, people in the back are chatting. Like, it's just the way it is. So I remember now, I can clearly remember having a gig in Paris and just turning up, and the sound engineer is just pointing like random microphones, and it's feeding back, and you can't get any volume. And so I think we did that. I think not for very long that we did that on our own, actually. Maybe just one small tour. And then I think very soon we realized that we needed to have somebody with us that was at least responsible for that, like starting to take some of the responsibility for that. And actually, we performed once in like a massive Milan fashion week, and it was for Etro, the fashion brand Etro, and like it was wild. There was like a stadium-sized LED screen with this crazy visuals, and we were sitting on like a little platform in the middle of this massive LED screen, and we turned up without, you know, we didn't have any technical specifications at that point. We would just turn up with our two hangers, and like that was it. And through that process of trying to get the sound engineer came with this two very cheap piezo, like stick-on contact mics, kind of. And he was that's the first time I ever even knew wasn't even a contact mic, like a little piezo, like a little metal disc. And and it was one of those ones that had like three little discs, so you could spread it out over the instrument a bit. And after that, then we started like really, you know, working with the contact mics. We used those for many years. We tried lots of other things. I would say really went into like whatever we could do to find ways to present like a world-class sound in a venue, basically.
Yeah.
And I would say we have been, even until now, like absolutely like dedicated to that, because it is a very difficult instrument to amplify. It's very hard. Like if you're just turning up to a venue expecting to work with like the guy from the venue, it's So we've done 400, probably 400 shows with the same sound engineer now. Like he comes with us, we've honed it in. And what I would also say, controversial maybe, but I was watching our latest live show videos from the recent tour where we are now using the Neotone, digital handpan. And I mean, that is for what we do and for the way that we want to present the sound. Like that's the first thing that I would say is really at the level that we were always striving for. And I think that, we've invested like tens of thousands of euros into equipment, into working with like world class sound engineers, but the weakest part of the live show has always been the acoustic sound of the instrument. It doesn't matter how good your production is, how good the effects are, how good, or like just the fact that this instrument really is a very difficult thing to amplify. The overhead mics don't really work. The contact mic is like Marcus literally spent thousands of hours with our engineer, literally like marking every single centimeter on the instrument and like testing like every single point of every instrument, like which is the best place to put the contact mic, like
Ooh,
extreme
that research is
OCD
gold.
dedication. But still, that was always the weakest part of the show. Like in terms of like, if you were to just zoom out and just take it out of context of being a handpan lover and you're just somebody listening to a concert and suddenly like it's like just the quality of the acoustic instrument when it's amplified is very difficult. So I would say like that journey and that dedication and that we've always had has until now probably brought us to this amazing collaboration that we have with Neotone. And on the last tour, we were using them a lot, like really a lot. And I would say it's just taken away a very large amount of the issues that we've had
Yeah.
up until this point.
Fantastic. I mean, you guys are at the frontier of what can be done on stage with an instrument that's very quiet. And um, once you start using contact mics, you alter the original natural sound of the instrument so much that then making the switch to a neotone is really not all that difficult because to begin with, the sound you're working with is not natural, you know. And if you want any sort of loudness in the venue. So before we touch on kind of all these lessons, which of course you go into depth in your masterclass, I want to ask you because we've kind of seen a glimpse of your music careers, starting busking in the streets and then like climbing these different echelons of getting better at your craft, at the production, at the business side of things. In the current stage that you're in, going on tour with a team, just really having the resources to identify like every centimeter of where to place that contact microphone, Marcus. What's the most fun you've had in this current stage of your music career? What makes you go, wow, I can't believe we're doing this?
I mean, for me, I think it is because we're so involved with everything, you know. Like when we're on tour, like Danny takes care of all the back end of the business. I take care of all the setup and pack down, and so we are like regardless our level of where we have gotten to, we are infused in the entire operation of everything, And for me, I think in the end of a day, looking what has been accomplished, seeing like all the things that needs to fall together for this 1.5 hour of thing that is being given, feeling the response from that, from the people, And then in the end of the whole thing, when when everything is packed down, the thing is done, everyone has gone to bed, so to speak, that's, I think, when I take a moment to digest the majesticness of what we have, what we share with the world. And again, reflecting a lot about, again, the devotion that goes into doing this, what it takes to give oneself completely to such a scenario. And I think that's where I'd rejoice, regardless the ins and the outs, regardless what comes up for myself, for everyone as a team. This, when you spend a lot of time with a big group of people, even a small group of people, things happen. So I think everyone knows that, regardless what profession they are in, and seeing that all of that is occurring, yet the vibe and heartfelt production is being shared without fail on almost every single day. That's what I get proud of. I just, yeah, that openness and that contribution to the world. That's where I feel my soul start to shine, when I see and reflect on that.
It's beautiful. Thanks. And Danny, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was just, like I said yesterday, I was watching. We've got, you know, we filmed a couple of concerts on the recent tour. Like, we got a really great team to come and film everything. And I was just watching like some of the new live videos and just realizing, the show we've just toured, it's for sure the best show that we've done. And the staging, Marcus's wife Anisha is on stage with us doing like cool electronic stuff. um the whole thing is just, it's constantly getting upgraded, I would say, like in terms of the audio, the visual, the musicality, like the whole thing. So I feel like, regardless of what goes on, when, like Marcus said, when you see that final thing, that is, it's very funny, because like, especially when you're on tour, the show is just like one little blip in the day. There's a whole 22 and a half hours of the rest of the day that's going on, which is way more probably challenging and emotional and grueling and all of that stuff. The actual show is just, it's a little like, but there's obviously so much that goes into it, that means you can just do that 1.5 hours. Like, there's like in this last year, like months and months and months of development and considerations and collaborations, and so, but I feel when you see the final product and the final result and the response of the people to that, then that, yeah, if that wasn't happening, then I would be questioning, like, well, what are we doing? But when you see it every day, what we've created and what that brings to people even now, then that's, yeah, that makes it all.
Yeah, and that's a huge part. Like, you bring many contributions to the handpan world and beyond, but I would say one of the main things that comes across is just good vibes, you know, bliss. And the world surely needs that. And you guys are, spreading these really good vibes with this instrument that we love. And that's undeniable. And that's really cool. And you can be proud of that. So now you are about to release a masterclass. And so back in September, you were in Toulouse, France, in the Master the Handpan studios. And I'm curious, what was your experience? This was kind of yet again, another new thing in your career. Not performing, but having to pull the curtain and sort of deconstruct what makes hand massive. Yeah, how was your experience? What was that process like? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? How'd it go?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I would say that David Charrier is like a complete, heart-filled master of space holding, bright, shiny, just phenomenal human being, if that's what you want to call him. But I think what touches me the most was his guidance, his presence, patience, and yeah, and the catering for us being there, and also with Dan Queen, like blessings to Dan, all the preparations Danny was doing also, everything just came together in this most beautiful week. It was a week we were there. Yeah, and yeah, and I feel that carried the warmness through the whole experience, really. Just that
There was a
warm
lot of work
welcome.
you
Yeah,
guys put
yeah.
in. Yet again, another project, and a lot of work went into that.
It was a big project for me. It was very interesting to because there's so many like really, really incredible players on Master the Handpan, like, world class musicians, percussionists, like extremely talented people. And like our music is not that. It's not based on like that same degree of technicality and complexity that lots of the other people are sharing on the platform. So for me, it was very good to see like it's totally valid what we have to share. Like we have our journey to share, like we have our approach to share, and it doesn't need to be the same as anybody else. It doesn't need to be the same as Nadi Shana or as Malte or as anybody. Like and I think that that was something really valuable for me to go through that process and see like actually we have something to share, and it doesn't need to be anything other than exactly what it is that we have to share. We don't need to be something else in order to have a masterclass on Master the Handpan. Like we don't need to suddenly go and practice finger rolls for like 3 months somewhere 20 hours a day to be able to share something on this platform. It's like we have got to where we have got to and reached millions of people just by doing what we do. We don't need to be somebody else to validate that. So for me, that was quite a bit of a process to go through, and be like, and Dan really helped with that of just really breaking down like what it is that we do actually have to share. Like, what is it that would bring value to people on this platform? Like, people don't need to come to us for the same as they would get from somewhere else. Like they can get that from, and I just think even in the masterclass, I've been going through all the videos, like just to reference the other teachers, like if you want to learn to do crazy finger rolls, like it's a, I'm not, I'm not your guy for that, but that is all there, like we are an amazing community, and like some people will resonate with different teachers, and like that's just the way it is. There's a teacher and a style that's perfect for like everybody. So for me, it was just great to see like, yes, we've got something to share in a musical sense, just in a history of the handpan sense, just of like sharing our journey. Like that's already like, that's part of locking in this history. Like we've never really shared so much about that anywhere. So like just to really get into all of that and like put it all down somewhere was a really nice process. And then also sharing about some of the business stuff. And so, yeah, for me, it was a great process just to go through all of that and see that, yeah, it really is, it's valid, and it has value in many different ways. And especially within the context of the whole platform where there's just so much offered from so many different people, that and just an honor to be a part of that whole thing, I would say, rather than it needing to be, you know, us on our own. Like it's feels much safer and more easeful to be held within this community of just so many amazing contributors that all anybody wants to do is encourage and support other people to enjoy what they do, really. Like, so yeah, it was and it's a beautiful studio there. Like, it's a great setup. And yeah, David's just an absolute legend.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and big
awesome.
ups to the coffee shop next door also.
Oh, he's got a great coffee shop next door. Yeah.
That's what I miss from France. It's the pastries, the
Yeah. Yeah.
cafes. But yeah, thanks for that amazing answer. I mean, it's a lot of people are waiting for your course, and I can speak for a lot of people, I think, saying we want to learn from you guys in terms of the rigor, the professional standards that you are setting for yourselves. Like you've said it in today's call, like we need the sound to be better. We need the standard to be better. And I think it lifts all of us up to higher standards of performances and production on our videos and adventures, going on these location shoots. So the inner critic is always there, but from the outside, it's undeniable that you guys have so much to share, and you are a fixture. You're a historical. You're gonna have your chapter in the handpan book. Like this was, you know, you've touched a lot of people's lives in this community and beyond. So as we get ready to land this plane, in just 1 week, people are going to be all over the world are going to be watching hours and hours of you. Um, how does that feel? And also, what what are you hoping that people are going to get out of your course?
Uh, it feels amazing to share who we are and what we have done. I'm looking forward to the response. I'm looking forward for people to be part of us. As Danny shared, it's the first time we open up. Like this is maybe one of the biggest live Q&As we ever done on a
Uh-huh.
real kind of come and meet Hang Massive. Like the questions and the way you guide us, I think. And I think the course will share that much more in depth, to really get into, Hang Massive, meet me and Danny as human beings, as like we are all in this together, so to speak. And I think, I'm looking forward to hear what people have to share afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like exactly, yeah, well, I kind of covered it before, really. Like, just that, if anything, like, we just encourage people to be where they are in their process, to strive for something if that's what they feel to do, or to just be comfortable just doing whatever it is. It's like, if you want to play like Nadia Shana, then you need to do a certain, you need to really do it. If you are just happy to just do whatever it is you're doing, that's like, you can just do that. So I feel like the mode of our course would just be to, I guess, inspire people just through our experience of what we've done, have fun playing, learning some of our songs, but like, ultimately speaking, just to find like ease and relaxation and inspiration and motivation to just take it to wherever you want to take it to, whether that's all the way or whether that's just all the way to just a little bit. That's also fine.
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah.
that's a good message to put out there. I've always liked artists who make you want to be yourself, who don't make you want to be them, but who make you want to be yourself. And I think you guys stand for this thing that is very you. That's your project, it's your essence. And when I look at Hang Massive, I'm like, they're living their dream. Like they are fulfilling that creative vision. And it makes me want to pursue my creative vision, and it's going to look different, you know, for all of us. And we love that you chose to be a part of this ecosystem, because you're right. It's like there's so many different styles and backgrounds, and I know you guys have had countless jams with musicians all over the world, and it doesn't take long to realize that there's classically trained musicians, there's folk musicians, there are autodidacts, they're like self-taught. People play music and come to music from all sorts of backgrounds and perspectives, and they're all valid, and they're all amazing and worth exploring and connecting to. So we know that there's tons of folks who have been eagerly waiting a course from Hang Massive. You know it as well, because you had already been thinking of doing a course, but we're just so honored that you decided to do it in partnership with us. And we are so stoked to have you guys and to count you as part of the family.
It's a pleasure to be part.
Yeah.
I'm really happy we decided to do that, and not, yeah, it just feels great to have made that choice to fit ourselves in amongst all of the others. It's great.
Fantastic. So we covered a lot. Of course, there's more, but there is more. And in fact, this is not over. This entire month is dedicated to celebrating Hang Massive, the release of their masterclass. Before I let us go, let me turn to you guys, Danny and Marcus. What do you have going on for the rest of the day? I know it's already late in Goa, India.
I think I'm gonna take my wife on a little motorbike drive in the coolness of the day. Yeah.
Classy. Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Classy.
We do that almost every day, but I think that's exactly what I would love to do right now. Yeah.
Oh,
It's getting very hot in Goa this time of the year already, so the evenings is a nice time to be also out and about when it's not extremely hot. I will just be here home.
Reviewing some last minute edits of the course, some final preparations.
Still got some course videos to go through for sure. Yeah. So I don't want to give Dan too much anxiety and leave until the last minute. So I'll crack on with getting those done. But it's very nice actually, because you know, when you're in the process of doing the whole thing, it's just like it's not really any context. So it's really nice to have just gone through everything and just, yeah, I think it's going to be a beautiful thing, beautiful sharing and offering. So,
Wow. Awesome. Well, hey, Danny, Marcus, thank you guys for your time, for sharing your story. They are great to hear. I feel like we learned a lot of new pieces of information, little nuggets of information from the goats. So I'm going to cue us off with some music. Thank you all on the live stream for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
And we will see you online very soon. You guys have a great evening.